Hi, my name is Jeremy Tallman, and I serve as Principal Broker for T&H Realty Services. We're a full-service property management company serving the greater Indianapolis area. Today I want to talk about the issues and challenges surrounding the term normal wear and tear. My guess is if you took a poll of landlords and property management companies and asked them what their greatest challenge that they face on a day-to-day basis, they would tell you that dealing with security deposit issues and how those security deposit issues relate to normal wear and tear are some of the greatest challenges they have. And the reason is that the definition of normal wear and tear isn't real clear, and people have different interpretations of what normal wear and tear is. When a move out occurs and work has to be done, someone has to pay for that work. And the tenant is going to have one perspective on what they think any damages they've done, and the owner may have a very different perspective on what he or she thinks the tenant should pay for. So I guess we can start as what the classic textbook definition of normal wear and tear is. And that reads that normal wear and tear is the physical deterioration which occurs in the normal course of the use for which a property is intended without negligence, carelessness, accident, or abuse of the premises by the occupant, members of household, or their invitees or guests. So there is a couple of there is some guidance here in this definition. If negligence and carelessness, first and foremost, if a tenant moves out and there's been a hole in a wall, if there's been carpet that's been burned or ripped, then obviously there's been some negligence there, and the tenant would be responsible for paying for those repairs. But some things are much more vague and cloudy. For example, if you walk into a property after a move out and there's some scuffs on the walls, if there are pinholes left on the walls where pictures have hung, if the carpet has some wear in it, is that something that owner's responsible for? Were those done in the normal course of living there, or is that something the tenant should be responsible for? To me, there's two keys to help a landlord guide through this, and that is, one, it's important to define and write it down what your local ordinances and what your landlord associations have come to realize is what they consider normal wear and tear. So, for example, if judges in your area have ruled that carpet should have a 7-year life, write that down. If they have ruled in the past that holes greater than 1/4 of an inch would be considered the tenant's responsibility, then write that down and adopt those practices and use those practices when you distribute security deposits. Because my experience is that even judges within the same county have different variations on what they consider normal wear and tear, which makes the job of a landlord very challenging. But I think it's key to write down your criteria to where if you ever would have to go to court on something, you can produce that document and say, this is what we've used in the past. And a judge may be more willing to work with you in that case. The second key is to not only write those down, but communicate your requirements to the tenant. And that should be done through the lease. So if you, for example, require that all carpet should be steam cleaned after move out, then put that in the lease. It needs to be there. If you require the tenant to have a professional cleaner come through the property at the end of the lease, then write that down. That needs to be mentioned, noted in the lease. And then when the notice is given by the tenant, the 3rd-day notice is provided by a tenant, then reintroduce those policies to the tenant. Say, look, per your lease, you agreed to do this. And I think things generally, our experience is that if tenants are given reasonable expectations and communicated well in advance on what those expectations are, then most tenants will abide by those terms because they want to get their security deposit back. So inevitably, no matter how good your policies are, no matter how good your communication might be, you will have challenges with this. But if things are written down, if they're applied consistently, then my guess is you'll see those challenges diminish greatly. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to give us a call. Again, this is Jeremy Tallman with T&H Realty Services, and thanks for listening.